What I'm about to say may well shock some of you, because the reason that you're stagnating, the reason that you've plateaued, and the reason that you're failing to reach your health and fitness goals has got nothing to do with your training split. It's got nothing to do with your nutrition plan or your sleep or your stress management. Whilst they may be contributing factors, the real reason has got to do with what's going on up here. It's got to do with your mindset. My name is Sam Gerlin and I'm the founder of Gerlin Nutrition. I'm a fully qualified nutritionist and I am a health coach. And today I'm going to be telling you about the importance of mindset and why it's so important to have the right frame of mind before you approach your health and your fitness goals. Before we get into it today, I should let you know that down in the description below, there is a full document that gives you my framework for goal setting and for mindset. So be sure to go and check that out. Everything that I talk about in this video will be, condensed into that framework, and it's something from my program that all of my clients have access to, and I'm going to be giving it to you as an exclusive for free. So be sure to go and check that out down in the description below. But without any further ado, let's get stuck into this today and talk about mindset. Okay, so if you see me looking down here, it's because I've got my laptop. I want to make sure I'm covering all the points and providing as much value as possible as always. Okay, so we're going to start today by looking at the difference between motivation and discipline, because you've probably heard this one before, but the reason that we start our health and our fitness pursuits, the reason that we chase these health and fitness goals is because we're often in a position of motivation. There's something that's happened to us, or we have a realization and suddenly we're motivated. That might be we step on the scale and see a weight that we don't want to see. It might be we suddenly notice that we're always lacking energy and we just don't feel good about ourselves, whatever that may be. That provides an incentive, that provides a motivation to chase a health and fitness goal. You stick with things for a week or maybe two or maybe a month even, and then that motivation starts to wane. You might make some, really good progress, but as soon as you see that progress, you can get complacent, or you might not see any progress and you get disheartened. And that's where it's really important to reframe your thinking, shift your mindset from a place of motivation to a place of discipline. Because I'm sure you've heard many gurus and podcasters and whoever else talk about the fact that motivation will come and go. It comes in waves. But if you can maintain your discipline and keep consistent over a long period of time, you're destined for success. Okay, because motivation is very driven by emotion, whereas discipline's more habitual in nature. We can systemize it. It comes from within. Motivation is often externalized as well. So focusing on discipline over motivation is the place where I want to start this video from, okay? But I think it's important to acknowledge as well that having discipline without direction or a drive or an end goal, a purpose, you're never going to be able to stay consistently disciplined if you don't have that attached direction, okay? So the focus of today's video is, as I say, it's all on mindset, but it's looking at that, dichotomy, big word there, between motivation and discipline, because they're often, thrown in the same bucket, but I think they are genuinely quite different and polarizing in nature. Okay, so we're going to be looking at goal setting, okay, and how we can really leverage discipline to our advantage by setting goals and having that attached purpose and direction, as I mentioned, okay? So we're going to get straight into it on the goal setting front, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the framework that I use with my clients and with myself that has proven so successful. It's got some incredible results, so I want to share it with you today. And as I say, do check that link in the description because it's all written out in written form. It takes you through the framework and helps you set your goals in a way that's going to set you up for success effectively. Okay, but just to reiterate my point, to get the most out of discipline, we need to have direction, we need to have purpose, and that can be attached to our end goal. Okay, how do we make sure that our goals have direction, and how can we get the most out of discipline in that way? I use a framework called the SMART framework. Okay, you've probably heard of SMART goal setting, And frankly, whilst I think it's a very helpful framework, I think it's lacking in certain areas. So I've sort of taken my own spin on it and sort of expanded the acronym somewhat. So rather than SMART, S-M-A-R-T, goal setting, it's S-M-A-R-R-T-S. Okay, and I'm going to very quickly run through each letter in that acronym and explain a little bit about where I've got the idea from and how it can help you achieve your goals effectively. Again, be sure to check that link in the description because there'll be more in-depth detail down there. I just want to, give you a basic idea in this video of, how you can leverage what's in that framework to your advantage. Okay, but starting with specific, you need to know exactly what it is you want. Okay, and now I'm going to really emphasize this point because the why, the purpose, the direction, the meaning is the most important thing here. You need to get to a deeper meaning with your goals to make sure that you don't veer off track, that you do remain disciplined. Now, I've got a little exercise in the framework where you ask yourself why over and over and over and over again until you get to the root cause, the root meaning. Okay, so let's think of an example here. Often, okay, people that I've worked with in the past, even with myself, a younger version of myself wanted to look good. Okay, I wanted to look aesthetic. I wanted to look, muscly for summer. I wanted to have, six-pack abs. For me, I struggled to attain that goal in years past because I didn't attach a deep enough meaning to it. It was a little bit superficial. There wasn't any, there was nothing tangible, that I could put my hands on attached to that goal. Okay, so what I failed to do was ask myself why. Okay, so I want to look good. Why? Because I want people to look at me and, think, he's worked hard. Why? And you can see already why it becomes difficult, and it's really about getting to that deeper meaning. Okay, so the answer to that previous question might have been because I'm seeking a bit of external validation. That's starting to get deep already. Okay, so you can see it can be very, very eye-opening. It's an exercise that requires a little bit of time, but it's so worth it to get to that root cause and that very, very deep meaning. Okay, so being specific and knowing exactly what you want by asking those why questions over and over again until you get to a point where you're stuck, you really can't think anymore. That is the real reason to be specific and set your goals and knowing exactly what you want. Okay, next is measurable. So you need to be able to track it, whatever it is. Being able to track your goal does help. So that might be a basic weight metric. That might be a performance metric, which is something that we can get into in a moment. It's something that I prefer to look at with myself and my clients. Performance for me, it's again more tangible, more conducive to a sustainable, more enjoyable approach because progress is more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not linear, because it does obviously, come up and down, but it's more fulfilling, I think is the word I'm looking for. So you need to be able to measure and track your goals. The next one is achievable. You want to make sure that you're aiming, high. You want to set lofty goals and goals that almost scare you, but they've got to be achievable. They can't, you can't be setting yourself up for failure. They've got to be realistic. So within your own life context, you've got to consider all factors that are going on in your life: family, work, relationships, training, everything. And you've got to be realistic with it, okay? So it's very closely linked to achievable, but there's a slight differentiation there. And it's got to be relevant. So it's got to be, this is another really important one. And again, it comes back to that why. It's got to be relevant to your personal values. Okay, so another exercise that I have on the program, it won't be in the document, on the goal setting document that I'll provide in the description below, but it is something that we have in the program. It's getting to understand your personal values. So for me, I'm big on, authenticity and honesty. So I need to make sure that whatever my goals are, they're relevant to my personal values, because that's only going to help with the discipline and make it more attainable, because it's, you know, getting at your core, getting at your, again, your root cause, or your root, what's the word I'm looking for here? Your root purpose. Your root purpose. Okay, so it's also got to be time bound. So setting a time frame on it does definitely help. And the final one is system. Okay, now this is the one where I think that previous or other goal frameworks really, really lack. Okay, because it's all well and good setting a goal, but if you don't have a plan and if you don't have a system to achieve that goal, I think it's rendered useless. So within the macro goal, I set you up, or set my clients up to achieve micro goals. Okay, so the micro goals are effectively the plan that help you get to the macro. Okay, so that is really, really important. It's having that, it's literally breaking things down based on the time frame that you set. Again, this is why it's important to set a time frame on your goal. So let's say that you want to achieve this goal in 12 months, because 12 months is a realistic and achievable time frame. You can measure it across the 12 months. But then you'd break that 12 months down into quarters, and then into monthly segments, weeks, and then even days, so that you've got the structure there, the system is in place to help you get there. Okay, that's how you really make sure that your goals are going to get you to your end point with that purpose, with that direction, so that you're not relying on motivation and willpower, you're just relying on the system. The system lends to the discipline. Okay, so the next thing I want to just touch on here is just expanding on my previous point, because I want to mention the idea that the plan, the system, I want you to think of it as the roadmap, okay? And that sort of roadmap, that path that takes you to your end goal is what keeps you in the moment. It's what keeps you in the present. It helps you to get past the idea of getting too far ahead of yourself. And it also, so that might be from both a positive standpoint and a negative one. If things are going well, you might get ahead of yourself and think, oh, I'm going to get this done in 9 months as opposed to 12. Or if it's not going so well, it's easy to focus, but get too emotional with things, okay? The system grounds you in the moment, and it helps you to identify, okay, well, why is this not happening at the moment? It's grounding, okay? So the plan is the roadmap, and then within that you have your habits, which are like the wheels of the car to get you to where you want to be, okay? These can be developed over time. So repeated exposure to certain behaviors will help them become habitualized, and it creates space for other things in your life. Okay, that's the way I see habits. It's like creating space for more salient behaviors, to make room for more conscious thinking. Okay, if you can habitualize certain behaviors to make them second nature and subconscious or unconscious actions, you create space for more conscious thinking for other things like your training plan, your nutrition plan, what time you're going to go to bed, these sorts of things, okay? And then the system itself is like the machine, it's like the car, okay? So this is what's going to help make your goal inevitable. And we can look at this like some sort of a funnel almost, okay? But that is a very, very, quick basic overview of the SMARTS framework and how you can get past low motivation or fluctuating levels of motivation and really leverage your discipline to your advantage. You need to have intention, you need to set goals, but not just any goals. You need to make sure that your goals have that sense of direction, they have that system behind them, they're achievable, they're specific, they're realistic to your context, to your own life, they're relevant to your personal values, they're measurable, you can track them, they're time bound. These are all really, really important things. And if you want to, go out there, set your goal, set your intentions, then please do check that link in the description, because it will take you to that. It's totally free of charge. There's no strings attached to it. Believe me, I just want to help you out and show you, the way that I've helped people in the past. So Do go check that out, set your goals, and please just let me know. Let me know in the comments down below what your goals are, how you've set them, how you find the framework. You know, it would be really, really good to find that sort of thing out. Okay, but that is all for today's video. I thank you very, very much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe, because, you know, I'm releasing 2 to 3 videos on all things health, fitness, nutrition every week, mindset as well, because I do think that the biggest part of any sort of behavior change does come from your mindset. So there'll be more videos like this coming. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for lots and lots of content. I should also let you know that also in the description down below, alongside that goal setting and mindset framework, there'll be another link that you can check out. It will take you to my funnel for full transparency. And there you can learn a little bit more about what I offer as a coach, what my services are, and, you know, what my program entails. So the goal setting framework that I provide is something that I've extracted straight out of my program. It's what all my clients have used. It's what I've used personally, and it's what I've seen success with. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what else is inside that program, how else, you know, I sort of help my clients get to where they want to be, then do check that link out as well. No pressure, you know, I'm just letting you know that it's there. But again, if you've got to this point in the video, we're 16 minutes in here. I really do appreciate you. You're an absolute legend. But yeah, have yourself a great day. Do stay tuned for more content, because it's coming quick, it's coming fast, and I'll see you all in a bit.